Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well, and welcome back to Michael's Matters. Now, of course, I am Michael, and today, in anticipation of the big COLA, or Cost of Living Adjustment announcement for 2023 that's coming out next week, which will definitely be a giant boost in monthly benefits for people who are on things like Social Security, so Supplemental Security Income, SSI, Social Security Retirement, Social Security Disability SSDI, as well as VA and Railroad Retirement Benefits. We are doing a real quick rundown of things to look out for once the new numbers become available. Also, as a side note, I will be doing an off-cycle video just for that specific day, which is a Thursday next week. Additionally, I want to go over what is the current and most up-to-date predictions for what the COLA 2023 could be, and then finally, why, even with this larger COLA for 2023, it's still going to feel like you're actually not getting caught up with the cost of inflation. Now, this is Michael's Matters, and before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you find them interesting, if you find them helpful, or if you at least find them useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when my most informative and newest videos get put out. All right, let's get down to it. Now, next week, we are anticipating the new CPI numbers to come out on the 13th. That's October 13th or Thursday. So put that on your calendar, mark it down. This is also when numbers like the CPI-W come out, which is the pivotal number that Social Security uses to create what is the cost of living adjustment, or the COLA, for 2023. So then we'll know the exact number. Now, this does actually happen every single month when the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's the BLS, puts out the numbers and publishes them in a report that shows month over month what the inflation rates are and how they have changed. In turn, these numbers are reflected in the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI numbers, which ultimately create the COLA. Normally, it's a pretty smooth chart from one month to the other. It kind of starts low and has a gradual increase over the year, which makes it pretty easy to predict what the COLA should be by the end of the year, roughly, right? But especially this year. I mean, even month to month, the CPI numbers have vacillated wildly, which has altered what the potential increases for the COLA could be predicted in 2023, basically every single month. But even though we have seen some pretty wild swings in the inflation numbers over this year, these October numbers are going to be the most important reported for the year, because they're the final CPI numbers that are used to determine the COLA for 2023 and ultimately how much additional benefits will go into American seniors' pockets. Now, the COLA is calculated off just 3 months of the year, which is in fact the third quarter, so August, September, and October, where they will take the average of these 3 months for 2022 and compare them to the same quarter in 2021. And then the difference between those 2 years and the inflation numbers, percentage-wise, will be the new COLA for 2023. Of course, beneficiaries will not see these increases in their benefits until January, but by knowing ahead of time what the COLA will be, it'll allow the roughly 63 million people who are on Social Security benefits to prepare themselves and their budgets for the year to come. So based off the 9 months of inflation data that we already have right now, and the CPI data that goes along with it, what is the projected COLA for 2023 supposed to come out to be? Well, that question, it really kind of depends on who you're asking. You know, they say economists, who are the people who track this, are headaches with one hand and another. It's because they always say, on one hand it's this way, the other hand another. So basically, they all have different opinions. And also from early on, the predictions for this year, I mean, they have ranged from as low as 6% all the way up to 11.4%. But in May, based off the numbers from up to April, so January, February, March, April, and then in May they reported, Senior Citizen League, which is a nonpartisan organization that advocates for seniors and retiree issues, they had it at 8.6%, which would still put the COLA for 2023 in the top percentile of the last 40 years if it met at the 8.6. Now, I think the highest level that we've ever seen in the COLA was in 1981, before some of us were born, just a little jab, which was at 14.3%. Just, you know, some historical perspective. But as we get into later months of the year, so June and July, the inflation really took its toll on the economy, and the COLA predictions got jacked up to 9%, and then 10%, and then at the highest point, 11.4%, before it started to sit back down to a more reasonable, and I'll put air quotes, reasonable number of 9.6% in September. But right now, sitting here early in October 2022, the most recent predictions, ironically, put the inflation numbers right back to where they had started out at 8.7%, which is pretty close to the initial estimates that came out in May. That is, of course, if the trend on inflation continues to hold through. We won't know till Thursday. What this ultimately means in real dollars for seniors and retirees in the U.S. is that they would get a $144.10 increase in their average Social Security benefit, which for 2022 was $1,656 per month, which is still kind of the highest COLA that basically anybody in living history has gotten. So all that being said, there are still some pretty significant economic factors that could affect the COLA in the actual numbers up until we see the final number. And moreover, this could affect how much the COLA helps seniors even into 2023. First is that these last numbers from the previous month are a bit misleading because, well, they're old numbers essentially. Just last month, the cost of gas had dipped down pretty dramatically, which everyone was like, yay. But right now, we are seeing the inverse of that happening. And the price of gas, and ultimately the price of everything, because gas affects everything, is all going back up on the rise. I mean, right now, just right now, outside here, I can see there are places here in Southern California that have gas at $7 per gallon. And this is even with the 90-day federal gas tax holiday that we previously had. Now, so it's no wonder that everybody is switching to Teslas here. Also the Toyota hydrogen car. I see it every once in a while on the road, going down the road, leaking water out of it. It's kind of a strange experience. But again, these things could all spell out trouble for seniors and the COLA as a whole as far as the buying power into next year. Already, just right now in 2022, the actual real buying power of Social Security beneficiaries, so that's how much they can actually buy in the real world, but not how many dollars are in their pocket necessarily, it has dropped by a whole 10%. That means that somebody buying a dozen eggs will get 1.2 less eggs in the dozen for the same exact price. Extend that out to 2000, it means that Social Security beneficiaries since 2000 have lost a whopping 40% of their purchasing power, which means that, again, at the same price, instead of getting 12 eggs, they get 7.2 eggs out of that dozen. So, you know, that the numbers go up, but the eggs keep going down. Now, lastly, and most concerning is the fact that if inflation and the price of gas continues to rise throughout the end of this year and into next year, there is no adjustment to Social Security benefits until next year's COLA. And so that means that many of our older friends, our older neighbors, and our older family members will be forced to face the rising cost of inflation with a flat benefit that does not adjust to the higher cost of everything, which we are feeling now, and will only feel worse moving forward. So, you know, that's rough because basically they'll never recoup that time frame with that money as purchasing power. Now, lastly and most concerning is the fact that if inflation and the price of gas continues to rise throughout the end of this year and into next year, there is no adjustment in benefits until next year's COLA for folks on Social Security. And that means that many of our older friends, our older neighbors, and our older family members will be forced to face the rising inflation cost with a flat benefit that is continually losing purchasing power throughout the entirety of the year. And that financial ground, they'll never be able to get that back. So when we think about the situation that many of those on Social Security benefits, so things like Social Security Retirement, Social Security Disability SSDI, as well as Supplemental Security Income SSI, they are all in a cyclical procession that keeps them in a limbo between poverty and being able to make ends meet. The unfortunate truth is that these programs are specifically designed to do exactly this. It's no surprise that some of our neediest people in the country feel like they're being bamboozled because they are. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should get lavish Social Security benefits. That obviously wouldn't be fair as well. That wouldn't be appropriate. But when folks are not able to get the food that they need, the medications that they need, or pay for things like rent and housing, then obviously those benefits are just too low. And with the current way that the COLA is designed, there's no amount of COLA increase that will move them out of the treading water with their head just below the surface that they're in right now, because the fundamental design is flawed in how the COLA is calculated. All right, that's it for today, and I hope that you all really enjoyed this video. And don't forget, Thursday I will have a special one-off cycle video for the 2023 COLA numbers as they come out. But if you did like this video, if you found it interesting, if you found it helpful, if you at least found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And that way you can get updates when my newest and most informative videos become available. So for Michael's Matters, I'm Michael, hoping that you take care of yourself, take care of others, and have a happy, healthy